Call it to order, adoption of agenda, 2.1 recommendation.
That council adopt the agenda.
Can I get a second?
Second, I have a question about the agenda. I am asking why 9.1, there's no, we know what it's about, why there's no description on what it's about, and why the correspondence is for information when we really would be information and discussion.
For what? 9.1.
One,
It can be for both. Okay. All in favor? Adoption of minutes, 3.1 recommendation.
That council adopt the minutes of the special council meeting held on January 12th, 2022 at Tuskegee Fire Hall.
I'll second.
Discussion is, we need coop. What, Marnie? You read it and it doesn't have a P in here?
I didn't even notice that. Very good, but, oh, wait a minute. Special council meeting.
Is
No,
it
I'll
fire
let
department?
that one go.
All in favor?
I have a question about the fire department. Who took the points on the agenda?
Pardon me?
Pardon me?
I didn't hear you.
On the agenda
For the special
Who
council.
put what?
for the Spencerville
Who did the
Council.
meetings, minutes?
Who took the question, comments from across the meeting? You took it all?
Yes.
I'm kind of disappointed, but
Why?
because it sounds one-sided. It doesn't look like there was a discussion.
Do you want the minutes changed to be the discussion? Because I'm sure Sandy has it recorded.
Yeah, I'd like to table minutes, please.
Pardon?
I'd like the minutes tabled in more both sides.
So you want a motion to bring back the minutes, Sandy?
So are you asking for verbatim minutes?
No,
So that's why it's kind of put generally like this?
but it sounds one-sided. But anyway, okay.
Well,
I'm only
explain
one-sided.
one-sided, explain it.
Well, it sounds like their needs, but they're not listening to what we, you know what I mean, what our role as council is.
Still not good enough.
Councilor Hubert, Councilor Beach? Do you
I wish I could speak to it, but the problem I had a blacked out screen, I couldn't see anything, and I couldn't hear anything.
I missed a lot of it too. I didn't hear a lot of it. I take my discussion off the table.
What big points are sticking out to you that you think are missing? I'm trying to, like, is there like a specific conversation that you had that you're feeling is missing out of this one, or is it just like the general feel?
The general feel, like,
Okay.
you know what I mean?
Because
We have a role as counselor and they have a role as the fire department. And we're not, I felt that I was judged by our votes and us asking questions. That's basically, and it's not on them. We have an awesome fire department. But that is our job to ask questions.
But do you not think that their hair is standing on end? Because every time we talk in the council meeting, you two haven't said very much good about them.
I haven't said, I haven't defaced.
There was a lot of division when that expansion went on, Bart.
And you stir it.
I stirred it.
Yes.
You better retract yourself there. What do you mean I stirred it?
Because you're always bringing it forth and being disrespectful to what I say or whatever.
That's got something to do with the fire hall? We're talking about the fire hall one.
Yes. And if you can say something to me disrespectful, you do.
It's mutual. All in favor? Okay, 3.2 recommendation, that council. Go ahead.
That council adopt the minutes from the regular council meeting held on January 19th, 2022.
I'll second.
Discussion? Ryan?
The report for me, it said that the connection was grainy and I couldn't hear well. It wasn't grainy, there was nothing there.
So, would you
It
like
was
that
just
changed?
black.
Okay, would you like
Just
that
change?
changed?
Yeah, I do want to change.
You just want me to take out grainy? You just couldn't hear anything?
And inaudible, with the exception of the Zoom and council. And you. I could hear you.
Okay.
Barb?
In the councillor's report, it says Councillor Smith asked the mayor why she was speaking to Director Leonard Hebert about the memorandum of understanding when she is not supposed to. That is not what I said. I said that we have, as council, haven't even discussed doing a memorandum of understanding, and I think it should be discussed in council before discussions with Area D.
It was the previous council, Barb, if you look back in your minutes.
We have,
Because of the medical?
but why are you discussing, we already have an agreement in place? Are you
To
discussing?
get
any-
paid for the regional district to pay us. That's what it was for. It was to get us paid. And same with working out over in Gundy. When our truck went there that night, as an MOU for Tom's Lake, when I sent you guys an email for approval.
But should
That-
that not be discussed with council as a 5 of us? We have 2 new council members, shouldn't that be all discussed with
Well, I'm
us
sure you
before the
guys would have thought
discussion?
that the money would have been important for the
But,
fire hall. Well, our
but we
taxpayers.
Excuse me, point of order. This is not for discussion.
Okay,
right now.
I
Would you
would
like
just
this stricken from here?
uh,
Would you like me to take this off of here?
yeah,
All
So
in
with
favor?
errors and omissions?
All in favor?
Thank you.
Introduce some light items. We have 8.3 letter of support. Mark Rogers is here tonight. If you have any questions on Mr. and Mrs. Miss Shadow and Mr. Pringle's park. And that is 8.3. Can I get a seconder on that? All in favor? Public hearing, we have, that's a delegation. 6.1 recommendation.
Okay, we're just waiting for
Can somebody read
your
it?
guys.
That council here to
They haven't
delegation.
opened the meeting yet.
Level and urban systems
Have you
regarding.
clicked on the Zoom link?
Yeah,
Can I get that
that's
here?
on Zoom right
I'll
now.
second.
Discussion. Is he on there? Sam?
No, he's not yet.
So should we move down till he gets on?
Yeah, I guess we can.
7.1 recommendation.
That council approves the draft letter and resolution for the district to blow up.
Can I get a seconder?
Second.
Discussion. Ryan?
Looks good, Sandy. Thank you very much.
So does this go to the resolution next year to NCLGA? Sandy?
No, this is just a resolution that gets sent in,
Mhm.
but, sorry, I forgot
Go
my
ahead.
hand up. In regards to the petition, the
Yeah.
petition is not something I can do right away. I need a motion from council to do an e-petition application online for the village to be in support of this. And then once that is done, then we can go forward and put it on our website and have it on the counter. But we have to have a backing from the local, or from the MPs or MLAs, as well as in order for it to be taken seriously, there has to be at least 500 signatures on it. So it's not just residents that would sign it, it would be anybody. And we could put it out at the Redwoods, we could put it here, we could put, maybe ask to put it at the post office, that way you would get signatures all around. If everyone's in agreement with that, I need a motion for that.
And Barb made that motion to write that letter and started that off, so I think Barb should make
I
that.
think you can.
I'll make that motion.
Okay?
Can I get a seconder?
I'll second on the Zoom.
All in favor? Is he on there?
Well, they're on there. I think you're not.
Oh, did she send a different one? Oh, maybe she sent a different one.
It's from Megan.
Yeah?
I think your camera's on, but you're not on the call.
Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, let's try this. No.
Yeah, that should be it. Join meeting. Perfect.
She sent out a different one this morning, I think, and I didn't update it.
Okay, there we go.
Oh, there she is.
Perfect. Thank you.
Maybe pass it. There they go.
Start video? Yeah. There we go. Hello!
Hi,
Sorry about that.
I'm Mayor McKetty.
Councillor Smith?
Councilor Rule.
You know Sandy.
I'm not in there, but hi.
Scott. Do you want to introduce?
Hi.
That's Skylar.
Councillor Beach and Councillor Hebert.
And you guys are?
Dane with Urban Systems.
Okay.
Kimberly Zukonik with Urban Systems.
Okay.
And Jeremy Zambergen with SNC Loudland.
Thank you. So, go ahead.
You guys had questions for them.
We have questions for you guys. Yes. One guy.
Maybe I'll start off here with a quick discussion on the lagoons and the issues. I'll share my screen. I'm not sure how well it will show up on your end if you're using a laptop or a TV.
We've got a TV.
You should be able to see my screen here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's been some ongoing issues, both short-term and long-term issues with the Tuskegee lagoons, dating back quite a ways here. So back in 2019, if anybody was around then for this repair, there was an outfall failure right here where the lagoon discharges into the Tuskegee River. That was repaired later on in December, and since then the bank has slid and has potentially damaged that pipe again. We weren't able to get our camera in far enough to actually confirm what the issue is, but right now it's not able to discharge. So that is one of the issues. One of the other issues is in this area between these two cells, there is some settlement. So let me just share a different screen here. So as you can see in this photo here, this is actually where the discharge is between cells 3 and 4. There's a pipe underground here through the berm, and right adjacent to there, there's a large area of settlements. And the pipe is not passing the volume of water that it should be, indicating that there's something at the inlet that's either clogging it or damaged it. We weren't able to clean it out with the efforts that Public Works had put into it, with snaking it and a couple other methods. We couldn't get our camera in there far enough to determine what the cause of that was as well. So right now, there's not as much discharge passing from 3 to 4 as there would ideally be if the inlet conditions were free-flowing.
Can we prove that the installer didn't do it properly? Like, is there just dirt, black dirt in that hole? Or is there actual rock underneath that pipe holding it?
This one, I'm not sure when it was installed versus repaired, if there's been any repairs since it's been installed, but at the outfall location that was repaired in 2019, that one there, so just with the way the river bends in this area, this outfall area is subjected to essentially direct flows from the river as it curls around the bend, and it's causing some bank failures along the outer edge of the berm. I guess it would be the west side of the Tuskegee River bank. So it's hard to say whether the installer of the 2019 repair did something incorrectly or if this is strictly just Mother Nature taking a toll on infrastructure.
Yeah, she's angry.
Get back to main screen here. So where urban plays a role into this is we're trying to get obviously a short-term fix in order to discharge in 2022, which is in the last 2 years we've had to discharge overland, which requires a ministry approval to do that, a ministry permit. We're looking like we're going to have to do that again in 2022, just due to construction timelines. We're not going to be able to get anything built when it's winter out, not effectively at least. So we're going to have to apply for a permit in 2022 to do overland discharge, as well as look at a long-term fix to ensure that this discharge pipe can function as intended. So we've prepared a couple of work programs for review by the village. And the first one is essentially that anything that needs to be done in 2022 that would require capital works. So that would be the long-term repair on the discharge pipe into the river to reestablish that. That would be the repairs at cells 3 and 4 where the settlement was occurring, where that second photo I showed, or the first photo I showed. And there's also the work program for the permitting side for 2022, which would be the testing that's required to do overland permitting, do the flow testing, getting the permits established, as well as doing a study on the effectiveness and efficiency of the entire lagoon system. This study would help us be ahead of the game for any grant opportunities that come forward for potential grants and increased capacity or adjusting efficiency issues in lagoon systems. So we're trying to get ahead of the game on that. We're going to be there testing in 2022 during the discharge season. It just makes sense to be testing to get these results, showing the efficiencies throughout the entire lagoon system, not just at the discharge. The second work program, program of 2, is more of the long-term repairs. So let me share my screen here once again. So there's some bank instability concerns, not only just at the area here along the discharge, but also at this outer bend. This outer bend has a very large erosion scar, or a settlement that cuts back quite far, and it's getting closer to these 2 cells up here as well. Although it doesn't seem to be critical right now to address this, just due to the large cost to do the work and a bit of planning is going to take into account to do the work. It is something that needs to be on council's mind and into future budget discussions to what the long-term fix should be in this area, whether it's armoring the banks here and doing some regrading, whether it's channel diversion of the river, whether it's moving the lagoons. There's plenty of options that could be considered, but it is something that is a risk to the lagoon infrastructure and could result in a potential breach in the future if this settlement was to slowly creep back into these lagoons.
Bart?
So
Bart has a
we'll be
question.
looking at
I'm sorry, I just have a quick question.
for approval over the next, ideally 1 and 3 would be approved as soon as possible to try and get ahead of the 2022 works that need to be done. Work program 2, it is critical, but understanding the budgets that are available, it is less critical than the other 2 work programs. So that's just kind of an overview of
Hey, Ding,
where we're at with the
Ding,
lagoon.
Ding.
Yeah.
One of my counselors have a question.
Would we have the authority to work on the riverbank or affect the river bend in any way? Or I don't think the environment would let us, or I'm just asking.
So would we put riprap in there, Ding?
You're talking about the diversion or just working in the river in general?
Working in the river, if we have to change the bend or work in the river or change the flow of any kind.
So you are able to divert channels, like create a new channel alignment. It does come with some pretty rigorous approval processes in place and a lot of habitat mitigation, which obviously costs money if you're shortening this length of river, so say it's 500 meters to go around the bend, and now it's 300 to cut through here, well, you just lost 200 lineal meters of river and habitat that the government's going to want to be compensated for with additional habitat elsewhere. So it is possible, it is a cost-effective and a very lengthy solution, and probably not the most ideal solution, but it is one of the options that should be considered going forward.
So Dane,
Any works that, I'm just jumping in here, any preliminary works that need to be done on the banks of the river, so any armoring stuff, depending on how far down into the river and where you are in your riparian zone, there will be permitting that's necessary, and we've included that in our cost estimates to work with DFO and MOE to get the appropriate permitting to do that work.
Thank you. So Dane, in that crack up by the other cell, would you put riprap in there as well? I can't hear you.
We could riprap armor that area as well
Thank you.
and protect it. Of course, that's going to come with a permit too, but the permit's more likely to be not necessarily fast track, but it'll be a faster approach than trying to reroute the channel, and more likely to be successful in getting approvals to riprap along the banks.
Thank you. Danielle?
So it's just, to my understanding, is it just the corner that seems to be eroding, or is there not erosion along that one larger cell there as well?
Let me pull up another image here.
I think my understanding from the readings was that there's also erosion along that larger cell where we are merging closer with the river.
That's the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's along that entire straight stretch and then into that northern corner.
Okay, so it's more of the straight stretch than the bend, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
straight stretch is currently where, this landslides like all along the way, but the straight stretch is where that outfall pipe has failed.
Okay, that's where.
So that you cannot discharge from the pipe into the river, and you need to do overland pumping discharge.
That's what we're doing right now.
If you can see this image here, this red line here shows potential area of riprap arming just to protect the entire lagoon. Whether or not this entire length is required, we would need some further discussion and research. But along this entire length, more or less, there is bank erosion, and along this corner, there's some significant sloughing of the bank. So you can see this dotted line here. That's the current area of slide from this fall, I believe. So you see it's already about halfway to the lagoon at the north end.
Danielle?
When it comes to that larger cell, seeing as we are looking at those two different, so the North Lagoon, was not one of the more cost-effective approaches moving the lagoon back further as well? Is that like, didn't we talk about doing that, moving it?
Tried to, but there was.
Are you talking about the larger lagoon?
Yeah, so pushing that larger lagoon back, was that not?
Option 2 is shifting it westward. Still don't maintain the capacity, but at least it gives you a bit more buffer around the river. You have to reestablish the outfall in that situation as well, just because the outfall only goes to here, and this would end up being a berm. So you'd have to extend the outfall and still have to repair it. But if you're going to do that, you may as well move the outfall to an area that's not susceptible to these flows around this bend, eroding this bank. It may be better to have the outfall relocated elsewhere, maybe further south, where there's less chance of the river impacting the berms.
That's good.
But yeah, that's definitely another solution that we could look at.
Right?
On the right side, or east side of that lagoon, along that straight stretch, there is an existing 5-foot-high little dam, I guess, or dike at the top of that slope. So if you were to, say, try to move that whole cell to the west a little bit and relocate it away, that dam would also then have to be, maybe possibly just left in place, but you would need a new dam in this water along the east or right edge of that existing lagoon. So either by relocating that dam, moving it, or just leaving it in place and building a new one inside to the west of it. Because that river is still attacking along that entire left side or right side and will continue to do so. And so the slope is now sliding down towards the river because it's been undermined and eroded at the toe. And eventually that slope is also going to move to the left. And then the existing 5-foot high dam at the top, where like the vehicles can drive on, that structure is going to slide into the river as well. And then you could lose water. So it's not just a matter of expanding it to the west. You still need to spend money on that east long straight stretch side.
Running.
So the sloughing that's taking place in that bend, is that from flooding in the river? Or is this from rainfall and this is something that will happen and continue to happen? Even if you put that riprap in there, right?
The riprap would also be accompanied by some upgrading of the lower part of that slope by adding some stronger material that has weight. It's called a toe buttress, and that counteracts the pushing of the clay above the slide. So it's a combination of, I guess, rain making the clay slope a bit weak, but completely triggered by the river erosion. So if the river was not eroding, that slope would find its happy place and stabilize over time. But because it's attacking and moving to the north, the water's edge, it's made a bit of a cliff at the toe. And so the clay is sort of sliding into the airspace on this side of the cliff. So it's triggered by the flood events. The big flood events of recent years removed a lot of materials, and it's not just this river, but Dawson Creek, all the local rivers. You'll find that these outside bends started to erode and have triggered landslides. You can just drive around and look at every landslide outer bend and find a slide going on.
So would you have to drive piles in there and to hold back that?
That's one potential option, is driving pile or installing deep piles and anchoring them back. That's also very expensive. Like there's many ways to stabilize a landslide, and the most appropriate technique depends really on each individual situation. And you try and cost out different options. For this one, just at a high level, we didn't think that piles would be the right solution because of access issues and the long length. You need a lot of piles because of the length of all of this. Perhaps piles could be an option more so at the northern bend there, below the South Fork. But there too, because we are looking at a toe buttress along the straight stretch along South 5, extending that toe buttress into the north meander bend would probably be the best approach. Because piles are not just like driven in, the clay can still push them over because it's got incredibly high lateral forces. You need what's called like tie-back anchors and things to hold the top of the piles back so that they don't just bend. And it gets to be pretty skookum in terms of the diameters and strength of these piles, because like I said, it's incredible how much lateral horizontal pressure a landslide can place on a pile.
Thank you. Barb?
This proposal that you've given us and the cost, is that just a Band-Aid and we're gonna have to do something permanent down the road? And how long will this sort of Band-Aid hold?
50 years.
Are these the cost in the work program?
Pardon me?
Are you talking about the cost section done by?
That's $750,000,
Well, that's one of the four.
one of the four. Okay,
So-
but is this just a Band-Aid or are we gonna have to do something permanently?
Well, so there's more permanent options. If you go to page
Yeah,
25, yeah, the options get more permanent.
Go ahead.
My understanding going through these cost options, so the most permanent solution obviously is going to be fixing the south and north lagoon meander bend for the 3 million. I don't see anywhere about the outfall pipe in that estimate though, so then really with that amount, we're only able to fix the straight stretch in the bend and then come back to the outfall pipe. Or is that included in that 3 million marker?
So that 3 million, all those cost estimates in the geotech report, that's strictly just on the geotech cost. So that doesn't have anything to do with the outfall or between cells 3 and 4 on the north side. So in our work programs, there was 3 work programs. There's work program number 1, that was addressing the outfalls, and it had capital costs of $270,000, and then an overall cost of 400 and, I don't know if you can see my screen here.
Yeah.
Okay, it's on the right one. Yeah, it had capital costs of 270,000. That would to be the reestablishment of the outfall at cell 5, as well as addressing the flow concerns between cells 3 and 4 in 2022. Work program 2 was the one that had those costs associated with the repair or armoring, or however you want to approach it, on the slides in the area, outside of the area of the discharge pipe. The discharge pipe, any riprap that would need to be placed, or anything of that sort, to help get a fix in this year, would have been included in that $270,000. Anything beyond the extent of the discharge pipe between this area here or even south, if you plan to riprap that, that would be included in that the cost estimate in the S&C report, which there was a few cost estimates depending on the approach you took. And then work program 3 was the lab work required for the discharge in 2022, as well as that the quality and efficiency study for 2022 in preparation for future grants.
Any other questions?
Yes, actually.
Do we have a copy of that urban sheet?
No, it's not in there.
Oh, it's not in there. Okay, I was like,
The ones that he's showing, the urban ones, that was from December, that would have been, I'll have to dig those up.
Previous. Okay,
Yeah,
so the
it was better.
outfall pipe is the 270,000, and then the riprap of the south and north, that is in the S&C.
Yeah, so the 270,000 is strictly the capital. There would also be the engineering costs on top of that. And yeah, the rest of riprap, if it is riprap, the option you'd like to go, would be included in that cost estimate for here, 6-2, 120 meters of riprap, or these other options as well.
So the main Band-Aid would be if we only fix that outfall pipe this year, so that it doesn't separate once again. And then the options kind of escalate from there. There's about 120 meters of active sliding near that outfall pipe. So just addressing, the most unstable ground, being like phase, or I guess iteration number 2, and then going along that entire straight stretch was like the next level up, and then going all the way around the bend to the north would have been the final option. So
Okay.
it would all depend on how much money you can get together and so on. But any of that would be a Band-Aid up until that final most expensive option, because at some point it's a matter of when, not if, those slides will eventually affect all the lagoons, right?
My council has a question, both of them. Danielle, go first.
Going back to the outfall pipe, so what's the plan at this point in time with the pipe? Like, is this, we've stuck other pipes in the ground before and they all keep sort of shifting. Are we looking at above ground piping or moving it or?
We are going to look at an option for above ground having a pump house. The only issue is you can't have it as a permanent pipe in the water. If it's above ground, you have to take it out seasonally. So once you're done discharging, you have to take it out and disconnect it and put it away. You can't overland pump. and have stuff in the water like that. But you'd also have to have it connected to a diffuser, which there is one in the river right now that you could connect to, or we could just look at other options for just abandoning what's there and putting in a new diffuser at a better location. The other option would be, I mentioned previously, potentially pushing this outfall pipe, just abandon this area altogether because it's failed twice in the last 3 years, and push it somewhere where it's less susceptible to bank erosion, somewhere potentially down south on the edge there, or even push the house somewhere. Because if you put a house, a pump house up here, it's still susceptible to that erosion over long term with this bank slowly sliding and eroding. If you put it here, there's a lot more land between the river and the lagoon, so the pump house has more protection from erosion. Also, you wouldn't be on a steep of a curve there where the river's going to be eroding that as quickly. Ideally, you still want to armor that, but
How many feet is that?
so there is
How
more land
many
solutions.
feet?
There's
Excuse
still
me,
underground solutions.
excuse me, Dean.
There's
How many feet is that from the sewer bank to the edge of the bank? How many feet is
I didn't
that?
catch that.
How
Not to
many feet,
repeat that.
how many feet from the cell to that, over that bank? How many feet is that?
Here, okay, let me go on maps here.
How far was that?
Yeah,
There's a scale there off to the right of in the drawing there that you can
Yeah.
estimate.
I can't see it.
We can't see it.
Glasses.
Long.
I did bring my reading glasses.
I went on Google, and that from here to here is about 60 meters. You can see that red line there.
Okay,
Yeah.
so dummy that down for me. I want feet.
200 feet.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Got smart.
Marcel?
So, just correct me if I'm wrong here, and overall to get everything fixed, to look at the discharge pipe, armoring the entire bank all the way along, so theoretically, this doesn't have to be messed with again until, I have grandkids, or later. We're looking at about, 3.5 mil over the course of, 2-3 years kind of thing to get it all up to stuff where we don't have to screw with it anymore?
Yeah, you're on that. So the 750,000 number that's on there, that just includes the engineering work and the engineering work for all 3 work programs, as well as the capital costs for the repairs required in 2022. The $750,000 does not include the long-term fix for the large bank erosion. That's broken out separately in the geotech report from SNC. So yeah, the total cost could vary from, say, 1.4 million or somewhere around that. Let me check these numbers here so I'm stating them right. So yeah, 700,000 here plus the 750 for what was been asked for so far. As well, you could have up to 3.1 million on top of that 750. So you're looking at in the range from 1.5 to just over $4 million.
So if we went with one of the less expensive options,
We did that already.
yeah, we're just gonna be in the same boat in 20 years down the road kind of thing, but if we look at the, the big ticket item there, like the 3.2 or 3.1 million option, that's something that, has got a 50, 60 year lifespan kind of thing, or are we looking at longer?
I would say a longer lifespan. Your 20-year item or estimate, I don't think any situation would, I don't think it would last even close to that long, based on the current erosion rates. I think it's anywhere from 1 to 8 years is sort of the window and where these repairs should be made. And why I say 1 year, it's all you need is another major flood event has occurred a couple of times in the last 10 years, and that could trigger enough movement and erosion. When, was it 2017, I think was the last big event?
15.
That entire valley was full of water. It almost filled up and started to flow, getting close to backflowing into the lagoons. If you look at it, it's something like a 20-foot height difference from the current river level up to the top of the bank by your lagoon dam, and that was completely full of water.
Yeah,
when it flows, it flows.
Yeah.
Pretty extreme.
The Public Works spent night and day down there,
Yeah.
making sure
Oh.
that it didn't come up.
It was coming up over the bridge, just down
Yeah.
the roof of my house, so
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
that was
It
definitely
was
it.
something else.
Because, yeah, I'd hate to, be 10, 15 years into this, we get hit with another 50-year weather event, and everything we did pretty much gets washed down the drain.
And we're broke.
Yeah.
Yeah, the riprap design would be done to withstand that kind of erosion, as well as having the toe buttress is an engineered structure as well that holds the slope in place.
So when you put the riprap in, do you do like a geotech behind that to hold the settlement back in, or do you just go with smaller aggregate behind that?
You have options. You can either use like a smaller aggregate, which is called like a filter layer, like more often nowadays, people prefer to use like a cloth, a heavy-duty cloth, which has the same function.
Yeah, because I know they used the cloth when they repaired the river further up, and I can see already where there's been the banks already pushed the filter cloth out, which has caused the riprap to move again. So that would be the only concern with, if we do something like this, is if that bank moves, does it have that give to absorb that little bit of movement, or is it going to start pushing that riprap into the river?
But is there netting on that riprap where you saw?
What's that?
Was that netting on it?
There was the geotech behind it, then they put it in. They didn't do netting over top.
Yeah, so there's our option right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably a quality of work issue combined with like the wrong application. If it's a landslide and you just, it's slumping and you place that filter cloth over top and then add the riprap, if that slope deforms, and like you say, it'll just push that cloth around. So you need to have a stable slope, and then the cloth, and then the riprap on top. Because otherwise the water gets in behind the riprap and washes away the soil underneath, right? And then the riprap starts to slump into those holes. So you got to protect. Yeah, there's still current in behind the riprap blocks.
And I guess one last question is, with the cells 3 and 4, I guess the top cells there, and with how far back that riverbank's eroded, is the hydraulic pressure gonna, accelerate that process if we don't get on it like sooner rather than later?
You said between cells 3 and 4?
Yeah, I was just thinking from the cell sitting up top there, and with how far back that bank's eroded, is hydraulic pressure going to be an issue to cause that to slough out a little faster?
That's what I asked the river.
The water in the lagoons, it may be leaking. However, the soil underneath there should be clay, and so it's relatively impermeable. So there is some hydraulic pressure for sure, which does help weaken the material. But a lot of the sliding is related to, I guess you'd have to see a photo. There's a cliff at the river. It goes up near vertical, some 15, 20 feet or something like that. So, it's lost its support, right? And it's just gravity's pulling it into that airspace. A strong dry material will of course be able to stand longer than a clay that's weakened and charged with water pressures from upslope. But there's also, you see roads around, so you'll have road runoff and ditch runoff that'll flow and discharge onto that slope as well. So, there's several sources of water. It's hard to fight it all and hard to keep a clay slope drained. So you could have underground springs that you don't know of that are also charging the clay and moistening it, weakening it. So that toe buttress at the toe of the slope of the riverbank helps to act as a strong material that has weight and gravity. It increases the resistance to the slide mass.
Cool.
Continue, for all in all. Holy.
I think that answers most of my questions.
Is there any other questions?
No, continue.
To see, whether from this council meeting, there is a review of the 3 work programs that were presented, and ideally approval of those so we can start getting ahead of the game for 2022 to get the construction works for the outfall planned, as well as for between cells 3 and 4, and start looking at the discharge that permitting that's required for the discharge in 2022. The sooner we get on that, the better. I mean, permitting timelines, they can vary depending on how busy they are, and this will be the third year we're applying for this permit. So that's probably going to play a factor in it too. I know they don't like issuing overland pumping permits if possible, so we want to see probably some movement on a long-term fix for this before they would issue a permit.
So where's the work thing again? What page was that?
25. So page 41.
Yeah, that's right. I got my marks on that. Okay. Edward,
Yes.
what would you recommend?
Pardon?
What would you recommend?
Well, the suggestion is that we're actually already 2 weeks behind, and the hope is that, and we understand that council had questions from your last meeting, and that's why the teams come to answer these questions. So all we're really looking forward to this evening is a recommendation to approve those 3 work programs. Work program 3 is critical, so that you could do that overland pumping again. But as Dane says, the ministry is not going to allow you to do that in perpetuity. And if we can get a second year, then that is going to really be in your favor.
Daniel?
Do you even have a copy of the work programs that he was showing up there?
I have copies. I have my copies that I've scribbled all over. But and the village has all 3 copies. Yeah.
Yeah, we have. Do we have them in our box?
No, they would have been in one of the agendas.
Yeah, they should
I
have been
can
in
get
the
them
last.
to you guys via email.
Okay.
I'll send them via email tomorrow. You may just have to have a special.
Thank you so much for your presentation and talking in layman terms, because this is far beyond mine. But it was nice to hear the options for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Council Mayor.
Quick question as well, Sandy. I know that we had approved funds at our last council meeting to start applying for grants. How much worth of grants are out there in regards to things that we could apply for?
So,
That goes to Edward.
Perfect.
through the chair, excellent question. There's none at the moment.
None.
But well, not pertinent to this project, but there will be grants coming. My suggestion would be to produce a letter that the funding agencies, provincial and federal, are aware of the project, aware of the challenges at this site ahead of a grant announcement. And so that there is that awareness there.
I talked to him just before the meeting to see if he recommended us do a motion to do a letter to the government to notify them what's going on, to see if maybe they'll add some money to us.
Yeah, okay. Okay, has that motion been made, or do you need that
No,
motion?
I'm making that motion right now, Sandy. Okay. And can I get a seconder?
I'll second.
All in favor? Okay, so,
So do we need to do a motion to give these guys a green light to move forward with this?
yes, so,
I don't think you make the decision tonight.
you don't need the decision tonight?
No,
Okay.
because you need to see those work programs.
Yeah, that's the only thing,
Yeah.
the work, yeah, you look at the work program. That's why I was like hoping.
We're
we
2
had
weeks
them
behind
make
too,
it-
so,
We may have to
So
call a
what do you
special
need
meeting.
from us?
Well, we really need
ASAP.
a motion to move ahead with the 3 work programs.
yeah.
If you want to do this year, otherwise we're going to be
It's a busy,
a month behind.
Can we quickly photocopy those and pass them around and to look at them, or print them off?
Can you just
or-
hand one on to us? Or you just got
Pardon?
yours? You just got yours?
I just have my copies.
Oh, you have an extra.
I
Do
can,
they have a choice?
Do you have a copy?
yeah,
Send it to your
Should we make a
copy.
we make a decision at this time?
Where is
Everybody's
I think you're gonna have a special meeting to discuss it.
Yeah.
Okay. Why don't I get this out and we can call a special meeting to discuss but really quickly,
Yeah.
okay?
It'll be fast. We know that it's 2 weeks behind, but at the same time,
right.
big,
Okay.
big.
Okay, I'll get it to you tomorrow and,
It is a lot of paper, and I don't know if you need a summary, if that would help.
I'm gonna need help with the letter.
Okay, no.
Yeah, I recommend, sorry, I had that written down, but I lost my agenda here. Motion to send a letter to federal provincial government recommended by Edward, what to say. Barb's still seconding that motion. And we're all in favor.
I hate to tell you this, but I'd have gone to Edward with or without a motion. That one I would have just gone.
Well, thank you.
I will be asking Edward for help. Okay. Okay, are we done with these gentlemen
Yes, we are.
and lady?
Thank you guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think we'll have our special meeting
Thank
Friday,
you.
so you guys should know Monday.
They'll know Friday.
Friday, okay, Friday.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
What time are we doing that, Maria? 5 again?
Yeah, because you guys work, right?
Yeah. Friday, 5 p.m.
Now I gotta find my agenda.
Does 5 work? That's what time we did it last time, was 5. Or do you want to do it at 7?
No.
No, I was thinking
Sorry.
4.
Oh, can we do it at 4?
I
is
would
it-
Grace here.
Would you?
I would.
4:30.
Yeah, actually.
4:30. If you guys, what time you guys get off at?
No, I'm off at 3:30.
I'm up
Okay.
at 2:45. So.
Oh, okay, so 4.
Doesn't matter where I'm at.
4 o'clock.
4 o'clock?
4 o'clock.
Be there, be square.
It's nicer to the
So that gives me time to get the email out to them. Okay.
Thank you, Sandy.
Our time difference.
Yes.
Okay. Now we are on.
Perfect, Sandy.
Well, we've done.
We
We've
made a
done.
motion for that?
We are on 7.2, which is the minutes from the fire hall.
Oh, okay. 7.2 recommendation.
Then everybody else can be brought back.
That council received the minutes from January 2021 regarding the fire hall grant as information.
Second.
You can add and discussion. and
Discussion? So, Daniel?
Okay, so reading through this, so I have it clear, it basically states that if we get the grant, the village was willing to put in money if it goes over and above the grant? See, yes, okay. You were giving me a question face.
Well, I was getting worried about what you were gonna ask.
Ryan?
I wanted Councillor Drover's motion, but,
There wasn't one. I looked for it.
yeah, he did make a resolution.
I went through everything. There is
Really?
nothing about Councillor Drover. I pulled everything for you pertaining to that issue. I'm sorry. I tried to find,
I'll have to
but
look
this
through
is
my stuff.
everything that was put out regarding
February
the motion and the
22nd,
grant.
Because he told me I wasn't allowed to vote, which is a lie. And so I put my hand in
It wasn't
I-
February,
Yeah, it was February 22nd.
no.
This only went as far as, well, February 22nd, there was minutes, right?
It was January or December. December, probably.
We didn't bring this forward till January. We only found out about it in the January when we got back from holidays. We did it in a really, really quick time.
I don't remember. I don't remember anything. No, I'm okay. I wasn't going to discuss it anyway.
Okay,
It's like, yeah, okay, got
So
it.
just put it back for information?
Pardon?
Just put it back for information, if we have any questions?
Yep. Just information.
New business, 8.1 recommendations.
The council decide if they would like to submit an opinion to the PRRD regarding the new model that has been put forward.
Discussion. Or could I have a seconder?
Do I have a seconder? Okay, thank you.
Discussion. So when I was on the regional district, there was some functions that I always brought back to council. And that was some functions we did in Dawson Creek and some functions we did in Area D. We didn't do anything for Tumblr, we didn't do anything for Fort St. John, we didn't do anything for the rest of them. And you can find that in the budget. So, Councillor Smith was present, and she was at the Regional District Board on October 21st. She was supposed to bring this back to council, but instead our CAO brought it back. When asked Councillor Smith about it at that last meeting, she never knew anything about it. So, Councillor Smith, can you explain what the economic development is?
Yes, I did explain it thoroughly. I said they haven't, we would have to decide if we were going to go in whole hog or just individually. And I also asked council what was the end goal? What if we join the economic development? What were we wanting to work on? That is exactly what I said at the last meeting, correct?
Yeah.
And that's what I brought forward.
So then we put a motion out for the CAO to reach out to the PRD. Why did we do that?
For more information.
For more information. So, what is your recommendation? What does the rest of the board say?
Some municipalities are on the fence. I know Tumbler Ridge, their geopark, they would like to economically develop Tumbler Ridge as a tourist site. That's what they're looking at. Fort St. John has their own economic development, so they're probably not going to participate. It's still up in the air.
So what do you feel that should be done?
That's not my decision to make, it's council's.
What's your recommendation that we should do?
I think we should discuss what would be the benefits of participating and what would be the benefits of not participating.
Then,
I think referring back to that meeting where we'd asked the CEO to go back and get some more information. Was more information ever brought forward again to us regarding this? And I'm having a moment.
It's right here.
It's right there. Okay. So this is the more information.
Sam?
So, to my understanding, the last meeting, council wasn't sure what exactly the PRD was asking. So I reached out for clarification. So currently, the way the economic development plan works for the PRD is communities can opt in to certain programs, okay? And you pay for what you opt into, okay? Right now, this company that has come forward is presenting them with another option, and that is to have you opt in or out, and you don't have a choice as to what grants or what projects you will be doing. Exactly.
They want to
So
put in
right
as-
now you have an option. The last time we actually were billed for an economic development was back in 2020. We haven't done anything since then, and that's what the numbers reflect in here. So they're asking, do you want to stay with what we are now, go to number 2, or no opinion? And they need to know tonight.
I think the first one. Money?
So I was reading this, it says that we're going to have an increased tax rate.
That's how I was reading it.
Yeah,
But the
okay.
first one you wouldn't.
Pardon?
The first one you wouldn't. The first one.
The first one, but we're already currently on, right?
That's right.
Because you choose.
To remain the way that we are, but changing it to their economic development model update, it would be an increase in rates. So we're paying less than 2 cents right now, it will be over 3 cents.
But they'd also, we would be paying into the Geo Park, we would be paying into Taylor's, whatever Taylor decides to put in, right?
Yes,
And we don't want to do that, because we just want this area, I feel, and Dawson Creek. Because
Yeah.
those are our amenities, those are things that we need to work with, right?
mhm.
And I think that's important.
Okay, and the regional district, they would be operating and administering all the funding. So I can see the possibilities of the pros and the cons. Number one, I mean, it is an area,
But what's in ours?
we're in the north, but we do have an awful lot of things on our plate. And us putting in for something that's going on in a different area just seems to be something that I wouldn't want to do at this time. Yeah.
I don't think that they should, like Leonard, because Leonard's in Area D and Leonard works with us, and Dawson works with us. Well, really no, they come and get money from us all the time, but, you know, work with them. But why the other ones? Why are we, like, we even pay money to be what we say, what Fort St. John does. Do we really care about that? No.
Yeah, like, I mean, you need a commitment from all involved.
But we, look at
Yeah.
our sheet, what we did, what we
Oh, I'm
put
not
in.
saying that,
You know, we don't put much in there versus
No.
they want $250,000 for Geo Park and, yeah, no, I want to go back to Model 1.
yeah, and whoever is going to represent Tuskegee when it comes to regional district in this economic development plan model, if it came forward, that you would have to have somebody who can deliver some great speeches that can make a sales pitch. I think that it's great, but I don't want to do it.
Danielle?
Are they like currently holding this to a vote to see what each municipality wants and then overall the majority wins and then
I
that's what you
don't,
go
I don't
with,
know that
or-
part, I just know that they're looking for opinions right now. That's all
Okay.
they're looking for. So they wanna know, do we wish to stick with the way it is? Do we want to entertain model number 2, or does council have no opinion?
All right. Okay,
So, make a motion to,
all right, I will put forward the motion that we stay with, our current model number 1.
and it's brought back to council
Then it's-
before we agree.
Robert Council probably agree.
When they do the budget.
Yes,
When
yeah.
they do the budget. we
Yes,
want to
once
talk to
they
council
get it all forward, it's
And,
brought.
and all of us agree on what we're putting into?
Well, it depends what the majority comes out with, right?
Yeah. But if they keep the Model 1,
I'll second that.
all in favor? 8.2 recommendation?
The council received the information from CN for information and or discussion.
Information. It's just somebody, got a job and I think one retired. I think I sent you the retired one, did I say?
That is the,
I got my freaking fingers all.
yeah, that was the one you just asked for. No, that was the one about purchasing the CN
property.
land.
Oh, is that the property one?
Yeah.
Yes.
And they don't want to give up the track part of it.
Yeah, but we don't want to buy it, we wanted to lease it, is what they told me. Yeah, this is the stuff that I sent.
And then you asked me to attach the picture. So there's the picture.
So the last thing, sorry.
Go ahead.
Reading this, it's a little bit out of order, so I just have a difficult time. The last reply was from Tyler, okay.
Right.
So, this is for the walking trail that you wanted to attach to Dawson Creek, right?
The regional district,
The regional district.
yes. And Dawson Creek.
Yeah, because
There's an actual committee.
yeah, and I mean, we came on to council, it was already in the
committee
works.
already, yeah, was in the works.
Okay, and do they have anything that they're working on right now?
Well, the regional district has committee meetings every 6 months, and I haven't been on it. Were you on it, Barb?
I
Haven't
didn't,
attended it?
no.
The walking trail, oh, okay.
So the one, when I was on it, they wanted to start out at the Encana Center, which they're trying to make trails and stuff, right? They want to start out at Encana Center along 3rd Street and then across where Ducks Unlimited is, over the hill at the water tower,
Okay,
and take it down the road or through our walking trails through the village behind the subdivision, and then across, and then we could use the rail tracks, right?
okay.
But we're told that they wouldn't do any leasing or anything, right? So,
Okay.
but now they are, again. But this guy has been working in leasing for many years. He helped with the one down east, or down south. So, yeah,
Is this something we could table?
yeah, please table it.
Okay.
Thank you, seconder.
Table this.
Who seconded it?
I'll second.
All in favor? Okay, 8.3, Mark Rogers letter over campground. So, in 2017.
Let's have a motion, first and second,
Oh, we
to
have a motion
to
enter this.
to discuss it.
Has a
Motion to discuss it, please.
Motion to discuss it.
Motion to discuss?
And second?
Can I get a second?
Thank you. Okay, carry on.
So the Village of Tuskegee supports a campground going across the river of Tuskegee Park. We do not believe that it will have any negative impact on our park. As there are no campgrounds in Tuskegee, this would be a welcome addition for the travelers, and it would help the Village of Tuskegee as well. So, the Village of Tuskegee agrees that a campground going in across the river from Coos Park would be beneficial. Sincerely, Lorraine McKetty. So, this was talked about at the regional district the other day. And Barb, you voted it down?
I voted for, to ask the claimants to come back in 30 days and discuss what they're doing because they haven't got the property out of the ALR. That's what the issue is.
Mark, can you explain the story to us so we understand what's going on with the property?
Okay. Thank you, Mayor, Council, staff. The regional district, the people that had started the campground, there are some issues of non-compliance. So there's buildings that were not permitted on site. They didn't have permits on. So people had been working, getting permits for, it was like 19 buildings that were on site. And to no fault of their own, you gotta understand that those buildings were there when they bought the property, and then they did move some in. Some were they're on skids and stuff like that. So With buildings, the regional district was not happy because it didn't meet bylaws and et cetera. Anyways, but where they're at right now is this process has been going on for 2 years, where they tried to get the land out of the agricultural land reserve. So they've been dealing with the Agricultural Land Commission. They've also been dealing with the province of British Columbia. They've been dealing with the regional district. They've been dealing with so many different government entities, it kind of gets confusing even for me. But what the regional district was mainly is they want that property to be compliant. They said that they had exhausted all avenues with the Agricultural Land Commission, and therefore they had voted, the board voted that several buildings be removed from the site. Those would be the buildings mainly in the campground area. Then they wanted the infrastructure to be removed from the campground area as well, because they said that because it was still in the Agricultural Land Reserve. Having said that, even if it was still in the Agricultural Land Reserve, there are more options that they are still exploring. And the regional district had not heard what their further options were, and that was a little bit of confusion over a December the 16th email that was sent out and not responded to. It was also sent via registered letter. They've asked for the signature on it. Haven't seen that yet. The email, don't know, didn't happen. And then there had been previously a ticket issued regarding bylaw infraction, and Doreen and Lyle contested that. Then the regional district had asked for a adjudication for that over that ticket. So an adjudicator was appointed to to look at that ticket and ruled in favor of Doreen and Lyle, and had said that the adjudicator had said, trying to get the exact words for you, that she agreed with that Lyle and Penny were actively looking for different solutions on the property. And so they ended up ruling in their favor. Staff from the regional district, that's happened on a Thursday. So then on the following the next day, Friday, this all ended up on the agenda with the 5 resolutions put to the board to basically remove some buildings, remove some infrastructure. And this is after they've put all of their building permits in as well. So that ended up on the agenda for the Friday, and then they had the meeting on the Thursday, Mark? They had the meeting on the Thursday where it was brought up. I actually attended that meeting as the alternate director for electoral area D, because Leonard Hebert declared that he would have a conflict of interest in it. So I've been working on this file for a few months now. And you guys just finished talking about economic development, and I'm going, well, there's economic development wanting to happen right across the river. And that's a great opportunity over there. I'll speak to that once I kind of give you a little bit more of the background here. So after the meeting, and it was a coincidence, I guess, maybe, I don't know, but we got a email from the CEO of the Agricultural Land Commission and basically indicated that she now was going to look into the file to maybe find out different options for the people to move forward with the campground and with their business, because their business is also on the property. So that contradicts, you're allowed one business one secondary business on the property. They're still trying to look at getting the land out of the ALR and moving the project forward with the campground and with their business. So they're talking about subdividing it. And that property was subdivided here back in the 80s. That never happened and stuff like that. Do you guys have any questions about that before I go ahead? Yep.
We
Yes.
did, just past history, we did give a letter of support for them to use when applying at the ALR. The Village of Poos supported their,
The Village of Tuskegee,
Campground.
the letter was, if you have it here,
Yeah.
it was in support of a campground. Basically, it was in support of a campground. So the reason I responded to it is because the people are still working forward, trying to make this campground happen. And I just wanted to make sure that there was still support from the Village of Tuskegee for that, because, you want to hear all the becauses that I have?
Sure.
Because of the fact that it's across the river from where there used to be a campground that the village had operated. Yes, ma'am?
I'm confused, across by Briar Ridge, the Briar Ridge Bridge, or out at the Coca-Cola Corral? Whereabouts?
You know where your park is that flooded out?
Yes, Poos Park.
Yeah, Goose Park, and the campground was there, and the park had gotten flooded out a couple of years ago. And then you can't get insurance to have the park anymore, to have the campground anymore, because all of that infrastructure had been washed away, and the campground, for whatever reasons, never came back.
So
there
it's
is no
Briar
campground.
Ridge Road.
No.
No.
It's Lyle. Remember where Biddles used to live?
Park, yeah.
Right there.
That's what I'm trying to
That's
say.
property,
But
right?
on the information that's in there, they're showing a different location.
No.
There's no pictures in here about that.
Oh,
This is
there's
just a
no-
letter from Mark.
It's the late item.
This is a late item that we're.
Oh, I'm talking about.
You're right. Oh, it's
9.1.
No, we're not on that.
I know, but,
Counselor Smith, it's right next to Codwell's Corner.
yeah, okay,
Yes.
God,
Right next to it.
I was on the right path before.
Yeah, right across the creek from the old one to the east, if that helps it at all. You can access that property crossing the Briar Road,
Yeah.
just past the bridge as if you're heading up towards the cemetery. They're on the right-hand side. That's where Lyle and Penny's house is, where they live, and where they're currently operating their business out of, which is the first aid company. Anytime, yes.
Is it Penny?
No, Doreen.
Or sorry, Doreen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I get confused, sorry, because
And I'm like, who's Penny?
Penny Ems is the acting, she's acting on their behalf, because to be honest with you, this got a little bit too stressful for Doreen, and Penny Ems is the acting agent on that, and all of the correspondence has been going through Penny, and that's where I've been getting it from, so I apologize for saying that.
Oh, okay.
Using the wrong person that lived on the property, but
Okay.
but for that, for there's the reasons that I've stated. There's an indigenous component to all of this, where there was going to be that because Doreen, she's from the Sturgeon Lake. She's from Sturgeon Lake band. This is Treaty 8 territory that we are on. And there is, she was going to be looking at hosting powwows on the site. Awesome, economic development, best thing ever. And then also they were talking about bringing in elders to talk to people about the history of the land where we are up Treaty 8, and there was also talking about like the hunting gathering and cultural awareness and stuff like that. And which goes back to cultural awareness. It was a perfect segue that was discussed at the regional district before this meeting. So it's a lot of cultural awareness that she planned on doing. And then with the campground, did plan on a bunch of teepees and stuff like that. She's already purchased all of that stuff. So there's a lot of things that she has planned. Whether to where we're at right now, if you could look back on it on hindsight, they thought they were in compliance with everything. They should have really got a lawyer and a realtor when they purchased the property. They would have known that. So at the end of the day, they're working towards being compliant on the property. There's a lot of things that'll still have to happen. They will still, if they could then get it out of the ALR, then the regional district will has to zone it, and so the zoning process has to go forward. And then yes, there will be issues where they are not compliant with currently. That would be the buildings. They have pulled permits for all of the buildings. They have contacted a consultant to work with them on getting the building certified. That happened today. And the greatest thing is the CEO of the Agricultural Land Commission had called them up and assured them that they were going to that she was going to look into the file and provide them with a bunch of options, because the indigenous aspect of it was not known to the ALC. And during some of the conversations that they had and the meetings that they had, it didn't come out the way it should have, I guess. There's been a lot of things that have happened on this that you look back on it now and they go, everything could have been completely different, and it's just the same as everything. It can always be done better, yes.
I think too, watching your address at the Peace River Regional District, you had spoken about the communication between Lyle and Doreen and the Peace River Regional District, how they were using email, and there was a request not to use email as well. Is that correct, where they were looking for a different form of communication, so there's a bit of a misunderstanding there?
Yes, the regional district had sent an email to Lyle and Doreen, and they sent a registered letter. They knew that Penny Ems was the acting agent on that file. They didn't engage Penny into the conversation.
Oh.
So I don't know what happened there. Something happened there. I had asked for a clarification on that from the PRD staff, and I was given an answer, but I don't want to say it because I'm not 100% sure exactly.
So,
but you could watch it on the
no, I definitely watched that as well. So with the new letter from the ALC-CAO there, is this going to be brought forward once again to the Peace River Regional District to be...
I'm glad you asked. I got an email today. I got an email from Sean, CEO for the regional district, and he answered what the chair had said. I'll just be brief with it, and if you guys would like a copy, but I could forward you this email once I check out and find out if I could share it. So if the ALC formally confirms reconsideration of the applicant's file. This should be brought forward by the applicant to the board for their information. At that point, the board would have the ability to evaluate their previous decision based on the confirmation of the ALC reconsideration.
No, right on.
So that was good news. So the people at the end of the day, just to sum things up, they're working on getting compliant. They just want the opportunities to expand, like to bring forward like all their ideas, and there's still options that are out there. The regional district has said they've had 2 years to do this, and their options were exhausted. Their options are not exhausted. If everybody here knows the glacial speed of government, and with the amount of people that are involved, everybody's in their own silo, and you've got the regional district saying they're allowed to do this. You've got the Agricultural Land Commission telling them they can do this. And to be quite frankly, for Indigenous peoples to be having to go through that government process, and it's not the same. There has to be some sense of cultural awareness on who you're dealing with and the history. Because frankly, and it doesn't matter, you know, what type of a person you are, when somebody comes knocking on your door telling you can't do something on your own property, you're going to get mad. It doesn't matter who you are. So there was things that could have been handled a little bit differently, my opinion, on the way the regional district went about this. But at the end of the day, all of that stuff for your guys' decision, I would think, doesn't really matter. They're working towards being compliant. They're working towards working with the Agricultural Land Commission, trying to find options of moving the campground forward. So
But it's also
what
nice,
they're
Mark,
looking for
it would be
is
also
the
nice because
support.
it would show support that they're right outside the village and the village is welcoming, can't even speak them.
To be honest with you, when I was first told about this, I said, awesome. There used to be a campground there, and I remember how full it used to be. I even got some work out of that campground because I believe I installed the showers when I used to be a plumbing contractor. So regionally, there's been nothing built to replace that campground. And with some of the other ideas that they had there is people with horse trailers can actually bring their horses there and put them in the pasture up top. So there's so many things that they can do. And there's so many things that would help with the benefit of that campground being there, that for economic development would be sprinkled down to the village of Boots. Yes, Barb?
Do you want the letter sent to the regional district?
No.
Or,
They already have a copy of the letter.
okay,
Yeah.
so.
I'm just asking that
Support, you want, and support.
the letter was from 2000. It's 2 years old. I'm just asking for to be reaffirmed because if the newest news goes back from the Agricultural Land Commission, it would help bring their case forward, and maybe the regional district, for lack of a better word, would lighten up a little bit and let the process continue.
So I think really this is a good opportunity for us as a new council with 2 new members to reaffirm how we feel in regards to this, and maybe draft a letter of support for 2022 as they're pushing forward. You know, I know there's been a lot of ups and downs, my understanding of this whole situation, and so, you know, it would be beneficial for you going forward to know how this new council sort of feels about it as well.
So is that your motion?
Yes.
I'll second that.
Discussion?
I just have a couple questions. Who are we sending, giving the letter to them
I think
or
that
regional district?
we should give a letter to both. I think we should give a letter to them and to the regional district.
And are we also stating that we support them 110%,
Hell yeah.
being so close to Poos, but on the premise that they're gonna follow all policies and procedures according to permits and everything through the regional district?
Yeah, I think that's a fair expectation. They wouldn't be able to legally run the
But
business. unless
exactly, but if that wording is in there, then I'm comfortable saying, you know what I mean?
I think that's the bare minimum, yet you should follow all the rules that are applicable to them under,
Yeah,
as they progress through the agricultural land service and everything else, yeah.
But they might be 20 years.
They
They
might-
might fighting it. Who knows? They'll continue to fight it,
Yeah.
right? So. But I just have one question for Edward. Edward, if it was brought into the boundaries, would we have to maintain that highway?
Your worship, one of the challenges with the extensions by a municipality is often MOTI will ask you to take in stretches of highway.
Well, how did we get our park and not have to look after that highway? Because I thought that was a highway.
that property was donated through the regional district. It was regional.
But we still
district,
maintain it. right?
and that they give it to Poos.
Huh, well, you
You
know how,
probably have a lease over it.
Can you take a vote on your motion?
no, we own it. Can I have a seconder on that?
No, got that.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Hey, Mark, you have it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Don't ask for it tomorrow.
Correspondence, did you see anything?
Now this is 9.1.
Okay.
What's this correspondence?
That's the parcel of land that we're on.
No,
That's from-
no,
Whose is
no,
it?
no, this is not.
What's this?
That's what I thought, it was.
No, this is
No.
something completely different.
Highway 2. This is the regional area D's property,
So
so.
Yeah.
the question is, do you have an objection to it changing from,
No. I don't.
that's why it's, so what happens is the PRD sends these out
Thanks, Mark.
when there's something that is changing within, somebody tries to do a zoning change or,
This is the same as,
Rule.
is down there.
yeah. So they're just asking if you guys have any objections to it. If you don't have any objections, you just receive it for information.
I make a motion we receive this for information.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
If it doesn't pertain to this area, it doesn't usually make it to the
No.
agenda. It's just that this was our area.
The council received reports from the AOC by officer. Tell Sam he's doing a good job. Just keep patrolling. 9.3.
I'm sorry, I actually have a quick question. Okay, somebody mentioned this to me the other day and I've never heard of it. Do we in Poos Koopy have our own, like, dog pound building?
No,
Did we used to?
no.
They tried to have one, but it was a shed over in Public Works. And it was not up to health code.
Okay, thank you.
And
Sorry.
then the previous dog catcher had a shed.
Okay.
And then the dog catcher now is only allowed to keep them for 96 hours, Sandy? And he has to turn it over to SPCA.
I believe so,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay,
So that's how I ended up with Ben, because he had him for 96 hours and nobody wanted him. So, and I didn't want him to take him to SPCA, so I said I'd keep him until somebody claimed him, and they didn't.
okay, thank you. Sorry, I was just wondering.
No, that's good. Year-end report for the PCFD as information. Blair, do you have anything to say? No. Very good. Thanks, boys and girls. Okay. Our CMP report. Sandy, have we heard anything from that letter we sent out?
Which one?
The one Marcel signed for,
The
to ask
funding,
for more
stuff.
policing?
No, yeah, he's still working on that.
You know, the most recent one, you can see that they still have quite a few vacancies. Looks like they're down almost an entire shift. Which one shift at half.
I don't know. You don't want to see too much. I don't know why he puts it public right now. But yeah,
Well, they do a good job, so.
go ahead. Anybody want to talk about the NCLGA highlights? Barb?
9.7. I did the poll for, on behalf of the mayors and chairs with, about First Nations and that.
When did
And
you do that?
it was discussed at a meeting, and I stepped up and said I would participate. You were out of town. Okay? If I recall.
Yeah, that
You
was,
couldn't do it.
Yeah.
You had asked her to do it. Or someone.
Somebody volunteered, yeah, you volunteered.
Anyway, I just want council to consider cultural safety, that we look into getting some council training for cultural safety in the future, or look at it in 2022.
Okay. Speaking on that, there is actually a bunch of free 12-week courses that are being offered through the University of British Columbia, the University of Alberta, the University of Halifax, on just learning about cultural sensitivity as well as learning about the impact of treaties and those types of things, residential schools, 60 scoop, and so there are a wide variety. They are free, they're about 12 weeks long. I can send you an email, send you all the links, and can actually send the information out to you guys. I've taken all four, they're phenomenal. They're really, really informative, and the nice thing is they don't all sort of overlap, they're all different. And so, yeah.
so wasn't this brought up in July 2020 for us to do cultural awareness?
Sometime back.
I think it was when I was in a Soyuz and I basically got laughed at and it got pushed over to the next budget.
These are free, so no need to budget them.
Yeah, no, I know. 9.9, the council received the Synergy Group meeting invitation as information. I'm already on this group, Sandy, I'm not sure why this is on here for information. This is a group that was not on my portfolio. Anything else? Resolutions none, bylaws none, administration report, CAO report? Oh shoot, I forgot to print.
Pass? Can it pass? No? That's not
Anything
pass?
from memory?
Okay, okay.
Memory, because I don't.
Okay, well, one was the e-petition, we did that. A couple questions arose last meeting about the hydro poles. I have since communicated with BC Hydro. BC Hydro no longer installs power poles. We actually have to contract it out ourselves now. So that is a big undertaking, it's a big project. I believe it's a capital and special projects project that we would probably have to engage somebody like Urban Systems to help us. It requires a drive around to figure out where council would like new lights or additional lighting. And then there's steps to putting, if it requires new poles, we have to go through a design phase with BC Hydro. I don't know what the costs are, so it's all, but I do know that we are getting a light put in for the park next door. It will actually be from the back alley, because they're not installing new poles. There is a pole kind of in the middle that they can run an arm off So there'll be an arm coming over the park and it will be lit up. So that one is done, or the request is in. I'm not sure when it'll get done, but probably have to wait till it defrosts. But,
My kids will like that.
and sorry, I cannot honestly remember what I put on the report.
Oh, you gotta remember like me.
Well, I wrote it, and I forgot to print it, sorry.
That's okay. So next time.
Okay,
Or just email it all to.
okay, I'll do
You can
that.
attach it to the agenda. Right?
Okay.
Thank you. Action items. Lovely action items.
I must say, every time we look at the action item list, it's getting more green, so good job.
Just so you know, every month, the green from the previous month comes off. I don't,
You
sorry.
should just send us the whole green sheet one day, and be like, look at all we've done.
This is what I've done in the last 2 weeks. This is what we've done in the last 2 weeks. I will just add that the blue lights, I have spoken to Public Works and they are going to be putting them out. I'm sorry, I did this after I talked to him, but between myself and the Public Works Director, they will be, not everywhere, but he will get some blue bulbs to put on certain buildings in the village.
Nice.
And the Girl Guides of Canada know about it already,
Well, we take pictures.
I guess. I don't know, you live in the village, you come take pictures at night.
Sandy?
Yes.
HSC manual.
Yes.
Did Bert send you an email? He was gonna resend you an email. Because if our payroll is $798,000, it's 10% of that.
It's not, it is not it's not your total payroll.
It's your,
Oh,
your gross,
CFO,
it's your
would you
gross
like to speak to
payroll.
this? Because we have looked into this.
It's the gross payroll,
No, it's not.
It's 10% of your submission, which
To
is,
work safe,
which they give
right?
you back.
which
It's
is,
10%.
So what's our rate at?
I think we're
Sorry.
just over $2 per 100.
And we make $798,000
Whatever our submission
wages.
to work safe is. It's not our gross, it's not our gross
It's not
wages.
10% on the total payroll, it's 10% of your submission.
Because the way I talked to the WCB auditor, to keep the core up, it's 10% of the gross.
After the core's done,
Yeah.
we have to invest almost $100,000 to get the core, to get
We
core
already have an
certified.
amendment. We already have an amendment.
That's not the only part, that's a very small part of it. There's a requirement to hold meetings, there's audits,
Oh,
There's-
I know
Okay.
that. Me and Blair sat through a meeting on that.
right.
We got emails on
We're
that.
9 people in our village.
Yeah, we were supposed to have a committee and,
I believe, honestly, that this is not feasible. This is-
Yeah.
It'll
But
cost us
that's
way
council
but
more.
are we keeping up the safety, policies and
Well, of course we are.
they're being trained and incident reports are wrote out and,
We've always done that.
well,
There's never been a discrepancy about, we've always done that. So, I just, I mean, we can look into it more if you like, but after speaking to Mr. Fritzma, it would be at least a year, maybe 2 years before we could even look at getting any money back. So, and like I said, we're 9 people.
okay, so you can scratch that off there.
Okay, thank you.
So the lighting, we got that under control. And the minutes for the fire hall expansion, wow, that's good, Sandy. You're not gonna get burnt out, are you? That's a lot of work.
I'm not burnt out yet. Don't forget, I'm taking holidays in March.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Everybody remember?
So am I. So am
I don't think you're going the same way I'm going.
Oh, no,
So-
I'm going right there.
I'm going east.
So,
No, that way.
Edward,
Yes.
how much would it cost to do a plan for the lighting? Because there's grants, there's those green grants BC Hydro has out.
something that would have to come back to capital and special projects.
Yeah, we have to shape up exactly with your public works director what is needed for the village. I don't believe under the asset management that we covered off lights when we did all the roads and hydrants and everything else, because the lights aren't your assets. So, an
Some are,
inventory would
not all
need,
of them.
yeah, an inventory would need to be made of what
There
you
is,
have.
well, there's there's BC Hydro inventory that we have because
Right.
they're in the process of changing the lights, right?
Yeah,
So then every other, metal poles are ours.
yes, that's usually the case.
Doesn't,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
during that hanging phone.
Okay, I think this is another conversation.
Yeah, another conversation. Thank you, Edward. And do you see anything, Marlene? Anything else? Marcel? Mark?
No.
You're doing a rocking job there, Sam. Action items? Was that action?
That is action items.
I got my thing all. Huh?
Calendars.
No, on capital special projects.
We just did that.
No, just did action items.
Oh,
There is no capital and special projects. It says we're currently working on the list.
12.4 now, we are on council.
Yeah, they're in the calendars.
No, we can add special meeting, I guess, to the board.
Already at 4
Pop that on
or
there.
4:30? 4.
It'll still get posted.
I'll have to have my massage tomorrow. Yeah, it's not.
I'm out of town from the 2nd to the 7th.
So Sam, you'll also let the regional district know that, because I got that email from Synergy, that I will be attending to, right?
Okay.
I forgot to tell you that. Since all the letters and emails have to go out of here.
Okay, and Councillor Waddell is away from the 2nd to the 6th.
Where are you going?
PRTC. I gotta go down and do some search and rescue training.
Dinner have to go?
Nope.
Oh, good.
No, it's for the critical incident stress management team.
I am away from the 18th to the 23rd of March.
That's spring break.
Uh-huh. Tofino, here I come.
Oh, maybe you could stay at Trudeau's $18 million
I was gonna
house.
say, maybe I'll run into them.
Be careful.
If you
might
surf,
get
you probably will.
He's in isolation, he's got COVID.
Till the 23rd, you
I
said?
had a red marker, we all have COVID.
You said till the 23rd?
Yes.
Okay. Anyone else?
Councillor Hubert.
No?
Oh, do I have anything?
Are we on
You said
reports or are
anything
we on
there, Mark?
calendars? Are we done calendars?
Calendars.
Yeah, so did I.
She's not going to her, she's going home, she said.
Yeah.
Councillor Smith, you going anywhere? No? No holidays?
I'm going to Edmonton in March.
Okay. Do you want me to mark it down here
I don't think I'm gonna, I'll let you know. the
or? Okay.
dates.
Okay,
And you know, I'm waiting.
mayor's going away on a holiday?
I don't know.
Okay.
Councillor Hubert.
Okay. I would like to have our mediator meet with us,
You're what?
if that's okay.
Tracy?
Yes.
I will need to tell her what you want to meet about. Is it about governance? Is it about, I can't just say, Tracy, I want to talk to you.
Yeah,
when-
Tracy,
when-
just come on over.
When would you, is this at a council meeting you would like? Is this a special meeting? Is this like one of the training, not the training, but like we did in
Like a
Like a
September?
train kind of thing, yeah.
So like a governance session,
Yeah.
we'll call it. And, once again, what do I tell her? It's like just about council matters or,
Yeah.
okay? I may be coming back to you for more, but, and when would you like this?
So whenever it's convenient.
Well,
So
not
during-
March, because we have people leaving.
Yeah, people are leaving.
So you want it relatively soon, like in February, since we're at the beginning of February, or?
Sure.
Okay, I'll get back to you.
Thank you.
Counselor Smith.
NDIT, I was on the conference call. There is grants out for businesses. They can get up to $20,000 applied through NDIT. And also there is a bus service for passengers that go Prince George, Chetwynd, Dawson Creek, Fort St. John, Fort Nelson, and they also go to Prince Rupert, and they go the other way, Vanderhoof or whatever. Now, these buses are for anybody traveling. If you want to go visit your Aunt Hilda in Vanderhoof or wherever you want to go. I passed this information on to the office to put in the newsletter that these two options are out there and how to get the information, et cetera, et cetera.
Can you?
I went over to the fire hall, not this Monday, but the Monday before, and visited all the firefighters during one of their training nights. It was really, really good. Actually, they're doing the most interesting thing. I was telling them how I'd seen this video on TikTok of firefighters going through ladder rungs, and then they told me they're actually doing it over there, and they had like video, and so they're practicing where the firefighters squeeze between ladder rungs to practice getting into small,
With their tanks.
with everything on. It's like mind-boggling.
Combined spaces.
Yeah, and then some of them, two of them, I don't remember their names, sorry Blair, but they like raced through to see who could get through the it was just like crazy. I thought that was so neat. It was so great to kind of see them all, and yeah, they showed me videos of them climbing through ladder rungs like this big, and they offered for me to try, I declined. But yeah, no, it was fantastic. One of the other things I actually did this week, and a bit of last, is Mayor McKetty had emailed out about lowering our flags to half-mast in regards to more graves being found of Indigenous children connected to residential schools. While I know that was a heartfelt reach out, I also wanted to look into other ways that we could look at really benefiting the Indigenous community and paying that forward. So I was looking into, I have them on my phone. I'd like to put something out in our Village Voice for the public, because this is something that is very difficult, and you know, the trauma that this is bringing to light, and also re-emerging through triggering, right? And so I know it is definitely something that needs as much help and attention as it can possibly get. And so I was looking into different ways to reach out to some of the organizations. And so I would like to put a list out in our Village Voice of different organizations that the community members can donate to or reach out to in ways to help fund the organizations that are continuing to look for these graves in residential schools. This is something that is being funded independently, and like anything else, it's cost money. You know, they are using new technology, and all of this costs money. So there is the Orange Shirt Foundation, there's the Gordon Downey Winjack Foundation, there's the Truth and Reconciliation Foundation, there's a ton of them, and sadly, my page is completely different, can disappear, but there are like 7 different foundations, and then there's also local ones as well. You know, you can volunteer at the Nowickin Bergeron Youth Center. I've started volunteering there every other Tuesday.
Marks.
Yeah, Marks, there's the adult, well, it's not like the community Nowakin Center, which is more for the older. There's the soup kitchen. And so I would really like to get the information out there for people who are wanting to find a way to pay it forward.
Sorry.
Would you please email that to me?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Listen, I totally have them, and I don't want to dig around on my phone, but yes, I will definitely email those out, and just I'd like us to kind of put that in the Village Voice.
So
We need a motion for that.
I motion that we put the information out into the Village Voice regarding ways for the community members to donate towards Indigenous foundations. Thank you. I was like, what is the word I'm looking for?
I'll
Can I second that?
Oh. Thank you, that is very, thank you.
It was really neat.
All in favor?
There was a lot of information out there. Good 2 weeks of reading. Yeah, it was good.
Councillor Whittle.
I don't really have a whole heck of a lot. I just have a quick question for Councillor Beach. Is there a way, some brainstorming or something, but is there a way that maybe us as a community could reach out to help aid one of these organizations?
To help one of the foundations?
Yeah, as a community, like Village Cruise could be making a donation towards that. Is that something that we can
Well, is that something
consider
where,
or look at?
should we focus it locally, looking at the...
Well, if we're asking our residents,
center?
instead of putting it up to our residents, hey, you guys want to, help donate to this because it's a great cause, I think as a village, should that be something to look at, us making a donation towards it as well.
A local nonprofit, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, even towards the Cordy.
So what are the local, foundation, like the local ones, what are those?
It would be the Nowakin Bergeron Center, the Nowakin Center, the Mark's Food Bank, it partners with them as well.
BC Charities is partnered up
There's,
with Mark's.
Ministry of Children and Families.
Sandy?
So council has a discretionary fund that they can draw on from that, so you can pick an amount and just tell us who you want. We'd need a motion for it, but, so once that list comes out, once everyone's had a chance to look at it, maybe at the next meeting, you guys could decide how you could donate, maybe $200 or $300 to different charities. But once the list comes out, you guys can have a chance to look at it, and then maybe at the next meeting, we can bring it forward, and you can decide where you'd like to, because you have that money in the budget already.
Already budgeted, yeah. Maybe we could focus a little bit local, and then a little bit to help those foundations that are working towards bringing those missing children
Because when was
home.
the budget reset?
What was that, Michelle?
I was just curious when the budget resets, when that.
It's already reset, right? Yeah, it starts January 1st.
Work on
No.
last year's totals in the set.
Yeah,
Okay.
so the new one's set May 15th, or somewhere around there.
So do you want to make a motion for that?
Yeah, do I need to make a motion for that?
We're not making any decisions now. We're gonna
Yes,
get
to make a
next
motion
meeting.
for her to bring it back to council for us to discuss.
Okay, yeah, I'll make a motion that the CEO brings it back to council, and we have a discussion on which First Nations charities we want to.
I'll second her.
I'll second.
Discussion, all in favor. Mayor McKay. Sandy,
Yes?
on September 3rd, 2021, there was an expansion for the fire hall done for Briar Ridge, South Dawson, Riley's Crossing. For Dawson and Tuskegee Fire Amendment Bylaw 2439-2021, final adoption, CSBRD 01, consideration for adoption. And then it was moved by Director Hebert, seconded by Smith, that the regional board adopt the Dawson Creek Tuskegee Rural Fire Protection Local Service Area Established Amendment Bylaw number 2439-2021, which expands the services area boundaries for the functions to include additional portions of Area D in Briar Ridge, South Dawson, Riley's Crossing. Carried. So why wasn't this brought back to council? Can you find out if this was brought back to council in September?
What was the date again? September?
September 21st. Because our fire captain doesn't even know about it, so. I'm really surprised if it was brought back to council why Blair didn't know about it.
Okay.
And then I sent you the radios grant for the fire hall today.
DUBCM, yes, we're looking into it.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, NDIT grants, connectivity. On January 26, 2022, there was a meeting at the PRD on connectivity. What was the outcome of the meeting, Claire?
We had an in-camera meeting, mostly with a, I can't say.
Well, this is actually in the agenda. This was actually in the agenda. It was on the agenda on January 26, 2022. There was a meeting at the PRD on connectivity. What was the outcome of that conversation? Because it wasn't in an
Point of
in-camera
order,
meeting.
make a motion that we extend the meeting past 9 o'clock.
Second.
Second.
Well, we're still discussing the options for different areas. And how do I say this? Different municipalities have different issues, i.e. different areas, A, B, C, D.
So did the directors and everybody tell what their issue was at the board meeting? What their community's issues were?
No.
Okay. So should we have participated in this, or as a council? To maybe let them know our issue? For the Shaw and the internet and, okay?
Okay, and tell me what you want me to bring forward as council.
Well, I want you to bring back this stuff that has regarding Tuskegee at any time to the council meeting.
We didn't discuss individual municipalities. We were discussing.
Did you ask the question when they would be?
No, I did not.
On November 2021, correspondence 9.2, Shaw Communications invited to comment on Rogers Communication in Corp application to acquire Shaw Communications. How did that turn out?
It was in camera discussion.
This was on again.
Okay, but
And did the village participate in this?
yes,
So Rogers bought Shaw, and Rogers also owned Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, several other companies.
yes.
Okay. And that's my report. No in camera, rise and report, and motion to adjourn. Thank you.